This lesson is about time signatures. For this lesson, you're going to need a piece of paper, an eraser, and a pencil. I've also included a PDF worksheet that you can do later. It'll really help you hone in and understand the concept of time signatures. Let's begin by talking about top and bottom numbers, because that's what a time signature looks like. Two over 4. Okay, this is what you see at the beginning of a chart or any piece of paper that has music on it. The time signature really signifies that the quarter note, which is the bottom number, the number 4, represents the quarter note. So the top number says how many of those notes. So when you really look at this, it's as if you were looking at 2 over a quarter note. It's really that simple. All right, so you need 2 quarter notes to complete a bar or a measure, which are the same thing, to complete a bar or a measure of 2 over 4. And by the way, you're going to use one-part counting. 1, 2. All right, if you take the quarter note and you break it down, the next note would be the 8th note. Now, for each quarter note, you need 2 eighth notes. And so basically, 2 times 4 is 8. That's how you know that. All right. In this case, you're going to use two-part counting, 1 and 2 and. If you take the 8th note and you break it down to the next note, it's going to be the 16th note. I know that because 8 times 2 is 16, all right? And by the way, that 2 doesn't have anything to do with this up here, with this number 2, all right? You break down the notes by multiplying times 2. It just so happens that we're using a top number as 2. So now this does have to do with this number 2, and that is, if you look at the 4 eighth notes here, you're going to need 8 16th notes in the next bar or measure to complete that bar of 2 over 4. So it'll look like this. And the count would be 1 E and 2 E and okay? From this point on, you're going to continue with this 4-part counting. If you take a 16th note and you multiply it times 2, you're going to get 32. So now you look at the 8 16th notes and you multiply those 8 times 2, and it's 16 30-second notes. That's what you're going to need in this next bar or measure to complete a bar of 2 over 4. (16 30-second notes). Okay, you're going to continue with the 4-part counting. All right, what that means is that every other note will get a count. So 1 always falls on the first note. You skip the next note, the second note, and by the 3rd note, you're on E. And you just continue every other note, and then 2, E, and All right, if you take the 32nd note, you multiply it times 2. 2 times 32 is 64. You have 16 here. 16 times 2 is 32. So you need 32 64th notes. All right, I'm not going to write them out, but you feel free to do that and place the 4-part counting over it. Of course, you realize when you're getting into the 64th notes, it's going to be 1 will be a group of 4 64th notes. Then E will be another group of 4 64th notes, and so on. All right? Okay, let's just go to 2 over 2. I'm keeping the top numbers 2, but you realize it can be 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever. It could be any number, 15. Okay, so what this means is 2 half notes. 2 half notes is what's needed here to complete a bar of 2 over 2. Now, by the way, as a side note, this is also illustrated many times like this. It's like a C with a line through it. This is referred to as cut time. And it is cut time. But you can also say it's 2 over 2. Either way, all right? If this was 4 over 4, and again, I'm taking a side note here, 4 over 4 is also illustrated by a C, which represents common time. So if someone says, oh yeah, we're in common time, you know that means 4 over 4. Okay, so let's continue on. That was just a side note, something you need to know. So we're in 2-2, same as cut time, and the count here is going to be 1-2. All right. After the half note, look at the half note, multiply it times 2, you get 4. Now that represents the quarter note. So you have 2 half notes here, so you need 4 quarter notes to complete a bar or a measure of 2 over 2. This is counted as 1 and 2 and. After the quarter note, take the quarter note, multiply it times 2, you get 8. That means eighth note. You need 8 eighth notes to complete a bar of 2 over 2, 8 eighth notes. All right, and the way you're going to count it is you're going to use 4-part counting, 1 E and 2 E and Eighth note times 2 is 16. That means it's the 16th note. Look, you have 8 here, so you need twice as many, right? 16. 16 16th notes. All right. You're going to continue the 4-part counting. And what that means is that it's every other note. 1 E and 2 E and All right, so there you have it. After the 16th note comes the 32nd note times 2, 32 32nd notes. And this time the counting is going to be this group of 4, if they were, pretend they were 32nd notes, would be 1. The next group of 4 would be E, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I want you to realize is a lot of people that don't understand time signatures think that quarter notes will always count at 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is true if it's any number over 4, right? Because it's any number over the quarter note. So obviously the quarter note's going to get the count. What I want you to realize is, for example, in 2-2, the quarter note here is counted 1 and 2 and, whereas the 1 and 2 and count, which is the 2-part counting, is the 8th note. And the 8th note is counted like the 16ths, and so on and so forth. So the importance of the time signature is tremendous. And you have to really understand it in order to know how to count and decipher what the note values are in the time signature. I really hope this helped you understand time signatures. Until the next time, take care and drum on.